All right. Do I get to talk about
I
Batman
know
now?
things.
Yes.
talk about Batman.
I've already talked about
Fine.
Batman. All right, so Cindy, you can just like go to sleep. So
I'll just
I
drink some water.
I've gotten to play, and I'm gonna hold it here so that I can actually.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I couldn't get out all the components because it would fill up this table and then some. But
Who makes this game?
this is from Monolith Games, and that
Oh.
is the Batman Gotham City Chronicles.
Okay.
So in this game, it is a scenario-driven miniatures game. So kind of like think Zombicide or that sort of thing. Except for in this one, it is a one versus all setup, at least in the version I played. I mentioned in our previous episode there is a versus mode. I know nothing about it. I was not given that rule set. That's a whole extra box that you get as a part of the
Oh.
Kickstarter. So I have only got the core box here. And so that's what
Wait, the core box is 2 boxes?
Yes.
Holy cow.
Well, because there's the heroes and there's the villains, and it's designed packaging wise so that you like, okay, here's all your stuff, here's all our stuff. Well, it's actually like the hero box is like really heavy, and then the villain, at least the way I've got it boxed up.
That's insane.
Like both boxes together is about the size of Gloomhaven.
Yeah, or the Scythe Legendary box.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think it's a little bigger than that.
probably. So in this game, you play, depending on the scenario, you're playing as Batman and one of his villains. So if I'm playing as Batman. Duh. And each of the scenarios is, you kind of have to tailor and pick a scenario based on player count, because some of them will have, like someone was like, oh, what villain do you want to play? And it's like, oh, I want to play Mr. Freeze. Well, the Mr. Freeze one only had 2 heroes, and we were playing 3 people, 3 on the hero side, so couldn't play that one.
So it was a 4-player game, but
Yeah.
you only had... Okay.
Yeah. So and I've already talked about how terrible this rule book is.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and get that out up front. The rule book is terrible. You're not going to be able to learn it via the rule book. Even if I've had to reference stuff and it's still a challenge getting it. So you're going to need to like watch a video on how you're going to have to watch a video on how to play this, because you're not going to learn it through the rule book.
Until they fix that.
Well,
Yeah.
I asked because
If
I
they
wanted to
fix
get
that.
some. I wanted to get some clarification on that, because like in there they say they're going to make some tweaks to the rule book. It sounds like that's going to be more fixing grammatical error type stuff and less an overhaul of the rule book.
Oh, my.
I just so whenever someone like they just want to do grammatical stuff, I always remember that scene from SG-1 where they're sitting around the table with the senator, and he's like, "God, there's stuff wrong in this report?" And Colonel O'Neill's like, "Yeah, I believe the apostrophe is over here in gold." Thank you.
That's O'Neill with 2 L's.
2 L's.
Oh, my gosh.
So they're not going to make substantive changes to the rule book.
Yeah.
That
By the way,
sucks.
because you brought it up,
Yes.
fun fact. You know when he says in there that there's an O'Neill with 1 L and he's not a fun guy? He's not a very humorous guy. That's because in the movie O'Neill was spelled with 1 L and he was played by
and it
Kurt
was Kurt
Russell,
Russell.
and not very humorous.
Super serious military.
Yeah. So that was the joke there. Anyways, but in Batman,
MacGyver.
I'm not even going to try and explain this game, but I'm just going to give you a basic overview of the mechanics.
Okay.
So one person's playing all the villains, and then there's one hero per person, or like if you're playing 1v1, you could play all the heroes basically. But each hero gets one of these little bat tablets.
I saw that. It's kind of cool.
And so like you get a character each, and you lock it in, and the character has all the stats for all the different, because you got all your actions. You got
I like that. I was looking at the board.
there's
and like
melee, there's range, there's like manipulating things, or there's like hacking, and then like defense and rerolls and movement.
Yeah.
And so the player card for each character has what all the types of dice that you're rolling for that are.
I like that. That's a
And then also like what's the maximum amount in a turn that you could put into that. So the way it works is I didn't get the cubes out. Down here at the bottom, you've got 3 different spots. You have like your active zone, your reserve zone, your injury zone. So like the most of your red action cubes, this is like an action cube dependent game, are going to be here in your reserve zone. And then on a certain amount are going to go to your active zone every turn.
Okay.
Depending on if you're resting or if you're acting. If you're resting, you get more cubes, but you can't do anything. So, and this is where like we had talked in the past, like, oh, can the heroes die? And it's like, yes, but not really, because when you get hurt, the cubes go in your injury zone, and they don't come out of your injury zone until there's no more cubes to pull from the reserve zone. You pull it from the injury instead, and then even then, they only go to the reserve. You know, so it's kind of like if you've ever played Terra Mystica, where like you don't pull cubes into, or you don't pull things until the other bowls are empty, kind of thing, ish, sort of like that. But and then what you do is when your turn, you get like one action, and then you kind of go around to all the heroes are done, and then the villain takes their turn. But your one action is you take the cubes and you put them into whatever action you're going to do. And each character has limits on how many cubes of a specific action can go in here. Like, so, you know, Batman's got for his punching, he's got a red dice, so he'll roll red dice, but he can only have max of 3 cubes in here during a turn. So how many cubes I put in here is how many dice I'm going to roll. So in this case, if I want to punch somebody and I'm fairly certain I can probably take him out like he's a minion, I could just put 1 cube in here. I roll 1 die.
Gotcha.
But if it's like a villain like Bane or somebody, and like I really need to hit him, I can throw 3 cubes in here, and now I'm rolling 3 die against him.
That's nice.
So that's one of the things I do like about this is I can kind of time, depending on how I've spent my action points, I can time when I need to make my big hits and when I can just kind of like get away with small stuff. And you've got equipment cards that like add bonuses, and this game's super complicated. There's a lot of bits and Rusted Beetle mentions in the chat room, it's enough iconography to fill an Illuminati manual. He's not wrong. In fact, I mentioned before that I had to print out player-specific cheat sheets that list what all the abilities are per character, because it was hard to try and like, what does this one do again? What was that one do again? Ah, crap, I forgot his bonus he gets here. So what the villain does on their turn is I didn't get that board out, but they've got basically a big river, kind of like if you've seen like rivers in other games where they've got like a series of tiles for each set of minions.
Oh yeah.
And let's think suburbia and the tiles up top. How you can buy anywhere along the
You just pay more.
You
for
pay
certain
more to
ones.
get something at the very end.
Yeah.
Same concept here, where it costs more action cubes to get the card at the very end. So, like, if you want to keep triggering the same baddie, you're going to burn through all your cards or all your action points. But you can trigger the lower guys, and they'll move to the back, and it'll shift everybody down. Everybody else gets it less expensive. And when you activate them, then you can move and do stuff with all the figures that are in that minion group, basically. So, like, all the thugs that have chains, or all the thugs that have a handgun. And each model goes with a specific group, and the scenario tells you what groups to bring out.
Okay.
And that sort of thing. So, so that's the basic gist of the game, and the scenario book will tell you what the winning conditions are for each round.
So what's the fun value?
So the fun value is once you get past the barrier to entry to learn, you feel like you're playing as Batman.
Nice.
Like, just like I mentioned there, you know, and it's like everything that I love, you know, dice rolling, and, you know, it's Batman and it's minis, and there's a whole bunch of scenarios, even in just the core boxes. And if you back the Kickstarter, you got way more than that. Well, if you did the huge $320 thing.
Right.
But you could get a lot out of just the core boxes, which hopefully for $150, you would hope so.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've made thoughts in the other and some of the other episodes when I was just casually talking about this. There's a bunch of really good resources on the BGD threads for these. So looking through those and having some of those are great. There's a solo deck in there that was really good to just play a solo game where I'm just like, yeah, I'm beating this guy up. And then the card flips over and, okay, this is what the villain deck's going to do this time. I also mentioned you could use that villain deck to make this a co-op game to where everybody's playing the heroes, and then you're just playing against the game's basically playing itself on the villain. That might be a little bit more fun versus the one versus all. Because the one time I did play with a human villain, they're like, well, I want to just kill you. Like, I don't want to try and work on my objective. I want to be trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Which
so, I kind I kind of do and don't want to ask if it's officially in the rules about the AI versus the group.
Right. It's not officially in the rules.
But
that's what I'm saying.
But
like,
it could be.
But it could be. But that's
It
what I'm
could
saying.
be.
Like it's a
We
solo.
don't know yet. They're rewriting the rule book.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
could be
yeah.
a
No,
thing.
it's a solo deck option that somebody made. That's in.
That's right. It was
on
yeah.
BGG somewhere.
Not officially sanctioned.
Right. So this is more of if you have the game, but maybe you're having a hard time getting it to the table, like I did, because you got to. It's a very specific group that's going to want to play this.
Mm-hmm.
You could play the solo, and I had plenty of. Once I learned how to play the game, plenty of fun just playing it solo. And I think, I think if Philip and I were to play this game, we would do the same thing and just play the heroes and have somebody playing the villains, or have the deck
Flipping the deck.
flipping
Right.
the deck
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the villains. That's what I think what I would do for that. If it was just say Philip and I don't think I would play Philip controlling. I mean, unless he really wanted to play a villain.
I don't know what villains you got in the box there.
There's a crap ton. There's Bane. There's Man-Bat, I think.
Oh,
Poison Ivy. There's multiple Jokers. There's multiple Harley Quinns.
Can I be the Joel Schumacher Bane?
No. But there are like multiple versions of Batman.
Mm.
Oh, that's cool.
And there's even like
The nipple Batman?
I don't know. I haven't looked. There's a whole website full of we'll talk about it later.
yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's from the George Clooney Batman
Yeah.
movie.
And the
Same one I talked
Val
about
Kilmer.
Bane.
Let's just talk about later.
anyways, there's even other types of extra figures you can get. Batman Beyond or Batman.
I was gonna say
from
if
the-
Batman Beyond's in there,
You
that'd
can
be sweet.
get not in here,
Oh.
but you can get it. You can buy it. There's a store that's eventually going to go live at some point. Who knows when? That they talk about in the season 2 Kickstarter, where you can buy a bunch of the add-ons. I don't think you can get the season 1 exclusives because they were promised as exclusives. But all the season 2 stuff was just promised to be at a cheaper price than when it went up on the web store. And the season 2 stuff added a whole bunch of new. I don't even know. Like I said, that wasn't what was provided, so I don't know what was included in that.
Apparently, there's a dinosaur you can fight.
Yeah, that's like a whole. Well, yeah, because there's an expansion for that. There's an expansion just to add the Batmobile.
That's
nice.
cool.
Get Littlefoot.
So there's a lot of stuff that you can do with that. Unfortunately, the downside, along with the rule book in the price, are your two big factors. I don't know how you're going to get this game if you don't already have it.
Yeah, it was.
So it was originally a Kickstarter exclusive,
Mhm.
and people started getting it around May. Then they did a season 2, which I guess will fulfill somewhere in like May timeframe as well. So don't cancel your pledge necessarily if you've already kept that. I asked because I was like, okay, I sent an email to the person at Monolith, like, what's the availability going to be like? And the answer was, we don't know.
Oh.
So apparently there's been a change in the Monolith CEO, and they don't know what the new CEO is going to say.
Wow.
Because with Conan, it made sense that it was going to be Kickstarter exclusive because of the nature of what was in there.
Right.
It was like mature content.
Right. And also, I've been seeing them demo this, like they demoed this at Gen Con, and I'm like, if you're demoing it,
You should have it available at
well,
some point.
yeah, like why would you? That's after the season 2's already closed.
Right,
So,
exactly.
They're
and-
just for fun.
Yeah.
They're there for fun.
and like they sent this to me after season 2 had closed. So
yeah, that's really strange.
I guess they're hopeful that there's going to be open at some point.
Huh. Yeah, that's really strange.
Yeah, and plus they've got this new. So the system that's behind this, they called it the Overlord. Rusted Beetle mentioned it in the chat room. It's the same system that Conan uses. They're doing something, and I don't know if it's been fully explained, but they're going to basically kickstart a version or produce a set where they do the Overlord system as a rule set, and then just come out with different mini sets or using your own mini sets to where you can have this theme and this game with other themes put on it.
So we're Genesising
Yeah.
the game. Okay.
That's what they say. And I have it on good authority that version of the rulebook might be better. I can't say why, but
Huh.
On good authority.
I have it on good authority. But I also asked, is there going to be fixes to this rule book? And he's like, there are no plans other than the minor grammatical error type stuff.
Just use the other one.
Yeah. So fundamentally, it's a really good game, but it's going to be hard for me to get played unless it's one of those game days that it's just Philip and I playing. But how many times do we have that? And the list of games we have to play on those game days is pretty long at this point.
It's kind of a mountain.
Yeah. So this is, if you've got a core group that really loves Batman and you play a lot, you're going to love this game. Like there's a group, I know I've seen streams where it's like a bunch of the same people, just like every week rotating in a different scenario. If you've got something like that, great. This is perfect for you. Look online. You could I've seen it in some of the, seen it in some of the virtual flea markets. Yeah, because a lot of people, like, there's some people where you're pretty much paying a little bit over Kickstarter. Like, I've seen it for, like, basically $150, $200 for the core box, and then, like, maybe $300, $400 for the everything.
Yeah.
It's not so bad considering that was about what the Kickstarter cost. So, you might get some good deals that way. Just people that bought it and then found out about the rule book and so decided they didn't want to struggle through it.
They don't want to go through like printing out player aids and researching, watching 3-hour tutorial like playthroughs.
Yeah. So this game has a niche, and I'm hoping that I've defined kind of what that niche is. Like I fit in that niche pretty dang well. Like that is my zone. But that's the other problem is finding other people that are in that zone to play. And if you got enough of them, you're going to enjoy this game. And even if it's just you still might enjoy this game, but that's a lot of money to spend for a game you're just playing with yourself. So, pluses and minuses there. I hope that made sense at all.
I think it did.
I think we'll shake a little bit out